we started the mixtape movement, right? And it wasn't a crew mixtape. We were making real albums and putting them out as mixtapes. The GUnit was doing replays of other people's beats and making mixtapes. What's a big difference? We were using our mixtape as albums to promote our real albums, and off those mixtapes, we were taking singles that the people started loving and started putting them on our real albums. But even in that, we put the Dipset mixtape out first before GUnit put their mixtape out. Now go Google it.
What's good with it, YouTube? It's Coffee back at it, man, and we got quite the heated hip-hop debate going on right here. Jimmy over there on the Flip the Script podcast, y'all heard him. Dipset was at it first when it came to the mixtapes, and GUnit got mentioned specifically. And of course, 50 Cent gonna put in his 2 cents, man. Fifth gets active on the gram all the time, trolling, debating, disputing, whatever it may be. And it's so funny, if you go looking at thread, Fifth's in there talking about, yo, he's lying. It's all cap. And you look at the replies, people's like, yo, Fifth, we was just about to tag you. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to see what 50 Cent's going to say. But real talk, this is an interesting convo when it comes to the hip-hop head. So make sure y'all sound off in the comments. But technically, I guess if you go back and run them dates, Dipset Volume 1, in the first GUnit mixtape, 50 Cent is the Future, came out just a couple months apart, but Dipset was indeed first. But aside from who actually did it first, Jimmy was making a claim like, yo, we were putting out more or less albums as mixtapes, you know what I mean? Where Fifth and GUnit was just flowing over other people's beats. Now, those GUnit mixtapes were crazy. You know what I mean? I always bring this up whenever, 50 Cent's career gets mentioned. And it's wild to me too, guys, with this whole Grammy discussion. That's a whole nother thing. I haven't even watched the whole Grammys and whatnot, but the 50 years of hip hop, I saw something about 50 Cent saying like Get Rich or Die Trying was not mentioned in that conversation. And if that is indeed true, that's wild. That's like a travesty in my opinion. Let me know if y'all would agree. I mean, obviously, we know that whole campaign, what Get Rich or Die Trying went on to do is epic. Something, dare I say, that we never saw that kind of impact or debut in hip hop. I don't know, but it was definitely something special. And in my opinion, these mixtapes were a big part of it. Like prior to the news hitting that Eminem, was reaching out and signing 50 Cent, Shady, Aftermath, Fifth was crazy hot in the streets, and it was strictly because of these mixtapes, in my opinion. And prior to that, Fifth had a long, hard career trying to get in the game, how to rob the industry and all that, getting signed to Columbia, getting shot, getting dropped, and never quitting, being kind of blackballed somewhat from the industry. There's a whole story to this where he would have to go over to Canada to be able to secure studio time, because obviously this was a different era. You know what I mean? You couldn't just have Pro Tools and Fruity Loops and different things like that and some microphones at home and your laptop and get it in. You really had to have a full-blown studio, and you had to book that time. And it was almost genius to me the way 50 Cent did this. He dropped those mixtapes. Yes, they were putting songs out over other artists' beats, which, everyone does that on mixtapes. But I always loved when GUnit did that. I thought they killed it. And, it really was like the precursor to Get Rich or Die Trying, Dipset and Jimmy definitely had a crazy wave with the mixtapes as well. I remember they were dropping music videos off the mixtapes, putting out, I guess, again, like Jimmy saying, album level music and tracks. In his opinion, the way he broke it down, like he seems to feel it was definitely far superior to what Fifth and GUnit were dropping. But, Dipset definitely had a crazy wave on their own. And then wherever you were copping your CDs back then, this is a old head talk, I guess, right? way before streaming, way before YouTube, your local, bootleg guy or where you went and cop your Lucy's and white tees and whatnot, whatever mixtapes they had under the glass. It was wild because, a lot of individuals that were way ahead of time and, were using the internet to their gain and putting together mixtapes and things like that. They would do their own creations with certain songs and even putting together um, album or artwork and covers and everything. Like that was definitely a whole different era. But in a sense here, what do y'all think? I kind of think they're both right. Again, technically, I guess Dipset dropped first by a couple months, but they both just had their own wave going and were both doing their own thing in their own right. I loved the GUnit mixtapes, right? You had those first two again. Uh, was that 50 Cent is the Future, God's Plan? You had the whole GUnit radio mixtape series that continued to go on during GUnit's whole reign in the game. Even when they came back for a reunion, they did a couple mixtapes back in, what was that, 2012, 2013, 14, somewhere around there. And they put out some other bangers that were once again over other cats' beats, like G-Unit remixes or whatever you want to call it. I thought it was fire. And we even saw G-Unit radio. I don't know if this is still how it is. It used to be on the weekends on Shade 4 or 5. I think that stopped a long time ago. But both, you know, cliques were doing their own thing, in my opinion. Dipset, 50 Cent, I think they're kind of both right, but I guess technically we could go with Dipset was there first. But I personally don't think it was like a situation where G Unit bit them. You know what I mean? But Fifth's just calling Jimmy out, calling him a liar. That's what Fifth does. He's going to talk his ish. But what Jim Jones is saying about them putting out more, I guess, quality level music, in his opinion, I thought both what they were doing was dope. But for Dipset, their situation was a little different, because Cam got on with The Rock, and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but like other artists, Jimmy, Juelz, and then, when it came to the mixtapes, there was a whole lot of other Dipset artists that we saw, 40 Cal, who was Bezel, one of them, of course, J.R. Ryder, Hell Rel, um, and many other affiliates and whatever, were all dropping music. And, I think a lot of them were real hungry to put out whatever they had, their dopest music, trying to secure their own solo deals. Because if you recall, a lot of them had contractually had totally different situations. So I don't know. I kind of think that that's maybe why we saw a different approach, as where with G Unit, they all had their, deals with Aftermath, Interscope, one way or another. So I don't know. That's kind of my take. Let me know what y'all think. Man, it's so crazy thinking back then. You guys remember also the DVD era. Both clicks, uh, G Unit and Dipset were doing a lot with the DVDs. The behind the scenes footage. You know, just bonus ish. Which now no one bats an eye at with Instagram, with YouTube, and everything. But that back then, when that like DVD era first kicked off, like the fans, the connoisseurs of the music really just couldn't get enough. It's so wild going back down memory lane. But jump in the, comments. Let's talk about this whole debate. Who's right? Are they both right? Like, do you feel similar to the way that I do? Let's talk about it all below. But something else that Jimmy talked about on there, I want to talk about real quick before I close this video out, is he mentioned stack bundles in a part of this interview where he was talking about op music. I don't know, like drill, I guess, in a sense, or there's so many just different genres and subgenres. So, for those that's really tapped into that kind of music, when he's saying op music, is that what he's speaking of? I don't know, but he said, R.I.P. Stack Bundles. He said Stack Bundles was making op music way back then. Like, it's wild. Do you guys think that's true? Did you fuck with Stack Bundles? you know, sad story there, man. That dude was definitely ready to blow up. But that's all I got. Join the debate, the discussion. Fifth Jimmy, GUnit Dipset, the mixtapes. Who did it first? Let's talk about it all below. Sub to the channel. Stay tuned for more content. I'm out of here, guys. Peace.